It was shocking to find out that Bitcoin regulations for the US market would be passed by Congress shortly. I'd like to elaborate on the events of this video and why they may not be the best news for XRP. In fact, I have a very interesting take on this. In my experience, very few people share this view. There's a lot to take in, so give this video your full attention. I'd want to begin this video by briefly addressing a new video by Gary Gensler that is just ridiculous. Do not worry, I will not show you this video at this time. All of us probably find Gary Gensler intolerable right now. That is not news to me. I was barely able to get through half of it before I turned it off. In this video, Gary Gensler argues that most cryptocurrencies need to be registered. They are all types of securities. However, he based his argument on a ridiculous analogy that had nothing to do with securities law, such as taking a goldfish on a walk through the park instead of a dog. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm not walking my dog but rather a goldfish. It was confusing and hard to follow. It definitely ranks up there with the most stupid things I've ever heard. Still, I think it fits in perfectly with Derek's explanations. This person refuses to even talk about the legislation. He wants these Bitcoin businesses to come in and get registered, and he won't even tell them why. Instead, he rambles on aimlessly, trying to reassure us with reassurances like, "Oh, don't worry, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Visit our location and fill out an application." But he doesn't clarify how to enter or register, and his justification for coming to do so is vague at best. After all, he emphasizes, not every cryptocurrency is a security right now. But I won't tell you how to tell which ones are and which ones aren't. The guy has completely lost it. But the main reason I did this was to demonstrate John Dean's response, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important things to grasp. SEC Enforcement Division Head Gary, I said, "Hey, Gary, how about you cite a single case in the last 76 years since how it was decided, saying that the underlying asset used in an investment contract is itself a security, or that the subsequent sale of an investment contract is also a security because of the first sale?" I requested the SEC to cite a decision from American law that makes this clear. According to John Deaton, the SEC's position on cryptocurrency is completely made up. The SEC is putting out the word that the asset itself is a security for the first time ever. The ear is not deceiving the brain. For the first time ever, the asset itself, the underlying thing, is considered to be the security. Another round of hasty dismissal with, "Well, it's clear and evident, etc." But what he's doing is unprecedented in human history. This is so absurd as to be laughable. It gets even worse if you factor in secondary market competition. Think about buying from a company and you just could strike up a conversation. Okay, maybe at the time you bought it. Perhaps they did so as a form of insurance. It's not entirely apparent, but after you acquire it, you could try selling it to a friend. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) comes knocking, and it's announced that this deal involves securities. It's so absurd that it's laughable. There is no logic to any of this. The SEC's allegation that there is such a rule is obviously false. Oh, that's so obvious that everyone will grasp it immediately. They say this has never happened before in American history. There is nothing like it, but the evidence is overwhelming. All of this constitutes a public offering of securities. There are safeguards in place for all of these digital possessions. John Dee's observation that the SEC is taking a hard line on cryptocurrency is spot on. This is an absurd position to take. The Securities and Exchange Commission hopes to legitimize cryptocurrencies as a tool for genuine technological progress. The SEC plans to give cryptocurrencies in the United States a legal standing that will make it difficult, if not impossible, to utilize them for their original intended purposes. I also think the SEC's attitude on cryptocurrencies is ludicrous, which is something that isn't talked about nearly enough. In the Ripple SEC lawsuit, the SEC argued that XRP and other cryptocurrencies don't amount to anything. He did, in fact, provide this to the judge in the latest SEC case. For the record, Your Honor, we have serious doubts about XRP utility in the ways that Ripple claims it does. Someone recently made a fascinating comment about how the XRP never takes a break, and it seems likely that this is connected to the SEC's efforts to disprove the utility of a decentralized immediate payment or instant settlement network, which operates non-stop. Do you have any idea how absurd that is? There has never been any technology like XRP. It has far-reaching implications for the global payment system. Cooperation between them is possible. They happen constantly, every day of the year. They happen in an instant for very little money and in very little time. That, according to the SEC, is not a utility, either. It's so ludicrous it's unbelievable. In addition, I believe the SEC's complaint should have been dismissed. If they had been allowed to say that, it would have been far more difficult for you to grasp the nature of the legal issue at hand and the nature of any potential litigation you may win. Just picture me suing an app company and explaining to the judge that I never actually used the app in question. Just because this is how I think it works doesn't mean it actually does. Here's a lawsuit I'm filing that makes no sense at all. It's possible I erred legally because I made an assumption that turned out to be wrong. However, the SEC is behaving in this way. Oh, well, they told the judge about Ripple's whole tech stack. Oh, it's completely useless. Nothing happens except for the fact that it produces waves. So, the foundation of your argument is probably faulty. You're probably suing us because you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to technology. You seem to think we're about to launch a Ponzi scam. Currently, this system processes billions of dollars worth of transactions each year. That's beyond your mental capacity, period. This, I hope, will show how ludicrous the SEC's position has been. The complexity of the SEC's message has left many people scratching their heads. Alright, Ripple did this one weird thing over here, but it's not a big deal. They bounce off of this mirror and spread to this other tiny, peculiar object over here. The SEC is committed to focusing heavily on such violations. On the other hand, when you step back for a bird's eye view, observe everything carefully. The SEC's case is completely illogical from the most basic, obvious perspective. In closing, I'd want to talk quickly about some unexpected developments in Congress to round up this video. In my view, this is quite unfortunate for XRP. In addition, it tends to focus on its own interests. I'll tell you why it is so in a minute. Let me start by playing the video for you. This is fantastic news for the entire Bitcoin market. I'll show you the video and tell you why I don't think it's good for XRP afterward. There's no reason to be angry, but I'm sure you guys can put aside your pride for the next 2 months and deal with my selfishness. Keep a lookout for a bill that addresses the process of moving a product from the securities regime to the commodities regime, as well as the capital raising aspects of digital assets. At the same time, the bill safeguards our freedom to trade products that don't fall under the purview of the securities or commodities laws. What follows are the 2 pieces of data regarding the joint hearing. Our schedule follows. Our committees will be incentivized to move swiftly because we have set a deadline for them. We've spent the last few months, if not years, working on this, and have even come up with a common policy. The Financial Services Committee must clarify digital assets, though. Over the course of the next few months, we will hold public hearings that will ultimately result in the creation of a bill that addresses that committee. Cryptocurrency law has been predicted to take longer than the next 2 years by many experts, including John Dean. It now looks like we may be able to have it much sooner than many people expected. So how exactly does that turn out to be detrimental to XP? In fact, XP gains from this greatly. The good news is that if you think Ripple will lose its case against the SEC, the laws that Congress establishes might easily overrule the SEC's judgment. However, why does this actually reduce XP? If you think Ripple will shortly win the case, then yes, it is negative for XP. In addition, XRP loses ground to rivals if you think it won't be labeled as a security. My first estimation was that XRP would have a lead of 2 to 3 years, but that might shift in the coming months. I suspected that XRP was the dominant cryptocurrency in the market. If Congress manages to pass laws this year or even next year, it won't give us nearly as big of a head start as I had hoped. Ripple losing the case is the worst-case scenario. Although XRP is now considered a security, Congress has yet to pass any rules governing it. This is crucial for XRP to have a head start. For the reason why I believe Ripple will prevail and XRP will not be classified as a security. So, it's not like this is a major setback for XRP. I think Ripple will end up becoming successful. Since XRP won't be classified as a security, it will have a leg up in the regulatory realm. I had hoped Head Start would continue for at least another year, but if Congress passes these bills, it might be over in a matter of months. Regardless, this is a huge step forward for the cryptocurrency market as a whole. I don't think we're dealing with a bear here. After all, this is the most advantageous platform. I aspire to be the most widely used digital currency. Inadvertently, some authorities have given the industry a head start, and I don't want that to slow down the rest of the sector. In my opinion, it would be best if XRP went straight. I have faith that this enabling technology exists and that in the future, Ripple will produce remarkable results. The XRP community will undoubtedly accomplish amazing things in the future. So, in my opinion, the XRP doesn't need this regulatory benefit to thrive. Just my 2 cents on the current playbook. Wow. At first, I couldn't believe what was actually happening. Then I realized it was somewhat unjust for XRP to gain clarity from these court cases if the rest of the industry was going to gain clarity shortly thereafter. At least we're making progress, and for that I'm grateful. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I trust you found this update interesting. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.